Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 40th Annual Law Alumni Awards Celebration. My name is Hewitt Covell, and I'm a shareholder at Sheridan Ross, a double buff and a proud member of the law school class of 2009. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize that the University of Colorado sits upon land within the Ute, Cheyenne, and Arapaho Peoples territories. Further, we acknowledge that 48 contemporary tribal nations are historically tied to the lands that make up the state of Colorado. This year has been a busy year for the Law Alumni Board. Along with past board members and many of you, we participated in the selection process of our next dean. The board also decided to work on a project for alumni and students related to equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and took this year to learn from various stakeholders of the law school about issues related to this important topic. And of course, under the leadership of our soon-to-be board chair, Dave Stark, we're proud to have worked with the talented and dedicated staff of the law school to put together this celebration that honors such inspiring alumni and friends of our school. I request that all current Law Alumni Board members in attendance use the chat function to say hello. These 28 outstanding people devote their time and energy to elevating Colorado law and its community. Paving the way for these efforts are the former Law Alumni Board members joining us this evening. I ask all former Law Alumni Board members also to use the chat function to greet everyone, including the years that you served on the board. Now it's my pleasure to be with you as we recognize our community and this year's Law Alumni Award recipients at our 40th award celebration. Tonight, we honor 8 individuals who exemplify the University of Colorado Law School's mission and vision through their work and achievements. Let's get started with our celebration. Please join me in welcoming Dave Stark, the Law Alumni Board Banquet Chair and Chair-elect, to our virtual stage.
Thanks, Hewitt. My name is Dave Stark. I am a proud senior counsel at Fairless Drinker and a very proud double buff and member of the class of 1973. As Law Alumni Awards Chair, I feel honored to celebrate our 40th anniversary of the awards with each of you tonight. This is the law school's signature event and a festive occasion for us to gather, celebrate, and reconnect with fellow alumni and colleagues. Popping up on your screen will be a poll for you to enter how many Law Alumni Awards celebrations you have attended in the last 40 years. Is this your first program or your 20th? Think back to 1981. What were you doing in 1981? And did you attend the Law Alumni Banquet back then? Wow, it's great to see the continued support that you all have for this occasion. Please join me in recognizing this year's 50 event sponsors and the 20 who have sponsored this event for over 10 years. Your continued support has enabled us to raise over $1 million for the law school. You can see a list of our sponsors on page 4 of the program. In lieu of sending gift baskets to sponsors and attendees this year, we were able to allocate 100% of sponsorship and registration gifts to student scholarships. Also to student programs and initiatives consistent with the vision and mission of the University of Colorado Law School. This year we raised over $100,000. My sincerest thanks to all of you. Tonight, we are excited to give 6 door prizes to lucky attendees whose names were drawn randomly before the event. Each door prize is sponsored by one of our gold sponsors. The first 3 door prizes are sponsored by Chiat and Danzo LLC, the University of Colorado Foundation, and Gibson Dunn. They go to Kristen Bronson, class of 1997, Bennett Harrell, class of 2023, and Lisa Calderon, class of 2001. Congratulations. We will announce the other 3 winners at the end of the program. Now let's focus our attention on the awards nomination process. The Distinguished Achievement Awards are awarded on a rotating basis in 9 categories. Each recognizes alumni that have risen to the top of their profession or made a substantial impact on their area of practice. The Knous Award is Colorado Law's highest alumni honor and has been awarded every year since 1960. Any past honorees, either distinguished award recipients or past Knous Award recipients, are invited to use the Zoom chat function and share the year they were honored. Thank you for joining us this evening. Nominations for Distinguished Achievement Awards are submitted through the online form throughout the year and selected by the Law Alumni Board Nominating Committee. This year, nominations will be accepted through the end of July. Selections will be made by the end of September 2021, and the Law Alumni Awards celebration will be on March 10, 2022, in person. I guarantee it. Please mark that on your calendars. Please accept this as my invitation to nominate alumni for recognition at next year's Law Alumni Awards celebration. There's information on how to submit a nomination in your program at page 22. Now, without further ado, Dean and I will kick off the award presentations.
Thanks, Dave. Hello, everybody. It's great to be with you all this evening for the 40th annual Colorado Law Alumni Awards celebration. This evening, we're honored to have joining us by Zoom a good number of alumni, students, faculty, staff, and friends of the law school. As I sit here and look across my computer screen, I'm reminded how lucky we are to have an engaged and supportive community. I'm only sorry that we're not able to gather together in person. When we started planning this celebration, we couldn't yet plan for in-person events of this size. I know we're all happy, though, as Dave just indicated, that we're getting back to more normal conditions, and we can expect Colorado Law events like this one to be in person very soon, including our next Alumni Awards event, which will again be a banquet. Anyway, thank you all for so much for all of you for being with us remotely. And before I go any further, I want to take a moment to reiterate our thanks to our sponsors, particularly our gold sponsors. On behalf of the University of Colorado Foundation and the law school, a sincere thanks to our very special gold sponsors who have generously contributed to this event for 10 years or more. And I want to just mention who they are. Chiat and Danzo LLC, Gibson, Dunn & Crutcher, LLP, Hogan Levels, Polsonelli, and Wheeler Trigg O'Donnell. Thanks to each of them for their continued support. As you know, Colorado law has a rich tradition of recognizing our distinguished alumni. And I've been inspired during my time as dean by the significant accomplishments of our extraordinary graduates, and not just those that we specifically recognize on this or other occasions, but the others who work and demonstrate excellence in so many ways. You all represent the genuine excellence, innovation, and spirit of public service that Colorado law aspires to advance continually in the legal profession and society. I know that the excellent work many of you do is not always recognized. So to you, I want to say thank you for all you do. Now, this marks my last Alumni Awards celebration as dean before I continue at Colorado Law as a faculty member at the end of this month. I want to share my heartfelt gratitude to all of you who have helped me along in this journey. Together, we've built on Colorado Law's strengths, broadened access to legal education for students from a range of backgrounds, developed leaders who reflect and understand the complex and diverse perspectives of today's world, and enhanced our connections globally while advancing our academic programming that draws on those global connections. I'm truly fortunate to be part of this special community, and looking forward. I have every confidence in our incoming dean, Lolita Buckner-Innes. I wish her all the best as she begins her deanship on July 1. This evening, we come together to celebrate the extraordinary contributions and accomplishments of 8 members of our community. And I thank each of them for making a difference. I'm really excited for all of you to learn more about this evening's honorees. So let's begin with the first Dean's Choice Award. This year's Richard Schaden Adopted Alumnus Award goes to John Echohawk for his support of Colorado Law's American Indian Law program and for many of our students and graduates who are interested in Indian law. John is the founding director of the Native American Rights Fund, whose headquarters are just down the road from the law school. And he's been a true partner of the law school for many years. We'll now see a video to learn about John's impressive career.
I was an attorney in a big firm in San Francisco and really wanted to get out and get into public law and civil rights law. I drove across the Golden Gate Bridge and met with NARF, the Native American Rights Fund, and I met John Echohawk. He's a person of great stature, and I think he's someone people take to right away.
John comes from the Echohawk family. I think they're just genetically wired to care about their people, to care about Indian country, to care about indigenous rights.
Well, of course, I'm a tribal member, and I've always been around our people and these issues, and didn't really think there was much I could do about them. But when I went to law school, I learned I could make a difference because our people were the poorest of the poor. We didn't have any money for lawyers, so starting a nonprofit to raise money, hire lawyers, make them available to our people was something that I wanted to do, and it's been my lifelong work now, 51 years.
He's very dedicated, not just to, indigenous peoples and their efforts to be self-determining sovereign nations. He's very dedicated to the Native American Rights Fund, to the practice of federal Indian law, and I think he's very dedicated to people in general.
Well, we've been involved in most of the major Indian rights litigation over the years because most of our people don't really have legal representation, so all these big issues have ended up here at the Native American Rights Fund. And we've been able to prevail in most of those cases, and it's made a tremendous difference. It's basically been called a modern tribal sovereignty movement.
John's impact, I think, is almost immeasurable at this point. Anyone that studies Indian law and Indian relations with the United States, the last 50 years have been monumental.
John is so steady, so reliable, so precise, so fair.
Well, I just see how important these issues are to our Indian people all across the country. I've been most of these places and know the people and how important these issues are to them. It's just very personal to me, just like it's personal to them, and that really inspires me to keep doing what I'm doing.
John, thank you for being part of the Colorado Law family. And on a personal note, it's been a true pleasure to work with you and an honor to partner with you on important projects involving the law school and NARF. And we're all thrilled to now have you as an adopted alumnus. So everybody, please join me in welcoming John to accept this award. John.
Thank you, Dean Anaya, and thanks to the Law Alumni Board for this recognition. It's one that has really come from 50 years of association with the CU Law School, the Native American Rights Fund, the National Legal Defense Fund, located here in Boulder 50 years ago. Colorado is kind of a central western location. Most of the tribes are west of the Mississippi, and we have to travel out to meet with the tribes and do their cases all over the West. So this was a real good location. One of our first grants had to go through a law school. So that's when we established our relationship with the CU Law School and helped them start some of the first Indian law courses ever taught in this country. And then over the years, a number of our staff attorneys have ended up being professors like David Getches, Charles Wilkinson, and Rick Collins. And we've just really had a great relationship. We've always done what we could to share our knowledge about federal Indian law with the law school. And here most recently, the opportunity to work with Dean Anaya on the implementation of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, which Dean Anaya helped to put together when he worked at the United Nations as a special rapporteur on Indigenous issues. And I'm just really very honored to be an adopted alumnus. I have just really appreciated all these years working with the CU Law School and everybody over there on all of these issues. CU Law School's got a great reputation in federal Indian law, across the country, and just really look forward to continuing to work with the CU Law School and all their efforts to recruit Native American students there that really receive a great education across the board on all these issues, including federal Indian law. So again, thanks, Dean and I, and thanks to the Law Alumni Board for this recognition.
Thank you, John. And again, it's great to have you as an adopted alumnus. Next is a newly added Dean's Choice Award. And this award is named after an outstanding alumnus and cherished friend to many who are joining us this evening, the late Sonny Flowers. The Sonny Flowers Award honors someone who, in the spirit of Sonny himself, has demonstrated exceptional commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion within the law school and the legal profession. It's my pleasure to announce that the inaugural Sonny Flowers Award goes to Judge Gary Jackson of the class of 1970. Judge Jackson's rich 5-decade career epitomizes leadership and pioneering change to advance the objectives for which the Sonny Flowers Award stands. Please roll Judge Jackson's video.
I know Gary Jackson well, and I've known him since we were, I guess, teenagers. Gary then and Gary now is still one of the nicest, if not the nicest person I've ever met. He's the most determined person I've ever met too. He's determined, he's always determined to try to find the right thing to do.
Gary is not just interested in the welfare of African Americans. Gary has always been interested in improving the condition of those who are marginalized in our society.
I was in the public defender's office. He was a district attorney, and I saw the kind of person he was starting then. His dedication to the practice, his quest for justice, and his real desire to be fair.
My name is Gary Monroe Jackson. I have been a trial lawyer and a judge for 51 years. The first day on campus, I met Sonny Flowers, who's actually on the Hill.
Gary and Sonny had a unique relationship. They were more than best friends. They were more than two lawyers who knew each other.
Sonny thought the world of Gary. I mean, there's no blood between them, but they were blood brothers. There's no question about it.
I was introduced to his mother. His mother had a law degree, Within a month or two, I met Sonny's dad. He was a civil rights lawyer. Meeting the two of them impressed me to the degree that I changed my major from wanting to be an engineer to wanting to be a lawyer.
I mean, their concern was always the betterment of society. Gary was not just a person who gets together and meets with people, but he moves people to action.
He was always troubled. And instead of complaining, well, you know, there's not enough judges of color, there's not enough women judges, what does he do? He helps to form committees. He leads the charge forward.
You know, what I find challenging is what I consider to be the status quo in the profession, or within the profession, the resistance to change. The very first job, Denver DA, being the only black, same thing. U.S. Attorney's Office, being the only black federal prosecutor.
He went to the district attorney's office, to the United States Attorney's Office, and he could make a difference. He wanted people to see in the justice system that it can work for you.
To me, that's a part of the change. To work in a fashion that I can be a role model to others and to demonstrate my abilities, my competencies, so that others would follow after me.
I can't say enough good things about Gary. What an attribute to our profession, to the legal profession. He has been and continues to be. Congratulations, Gary. This is so well deserved.
You're here. Congratulations, Gary. And thank you for all you've done and you continue to do to help us recruit students and generate and promote inclusion at Colorado Law and beyond. So everybody, please join me in celebrating Gary by using the chat function. Send him a message of congratulations, and let's welcome Gary to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Dean and Naya, and thank you to the Alumni Board that was involved in my selection, and thank you to Pam Flowers, Mrs. Flowers. I know she's here watching. You know, on July 30th last year, Sonny Flowers passed away. And as you've heard from the video, that was a 54-year friendship, and a friendship that if it were not for meeting Sonny and his mom and dad, who were lawyers, I would probably be an engineer today and working on some type of project in the engineering field. And so that's how important Sonny Flowers and his family was to me. And I know today, Sonny is looking down with that big smile and is so happy that I'm getting the award, because Sonny and I had each other's back for 54 years. What I want to do, and I know that I only have a minute to speak, so I want to just make some thank yous. And I want to thank the video presentation that was put together that my three very, very good friends talked about me. So I want to thank them for participating in that. But I want to start with a thank you to my wife, Regina. She has been a partner to me for 34 plus years. She has had unwavering support for me as a trial lawyer, for those long hours and weekends that I was working, and then the obligations that I had as a judge, which were different types of obligation. And of course, she's probably been to 100 chicken dinners with me, and I think we've been to all of the alumni events that have been held. So I want to thank her for our partnership of 35 plus years. I want to thank my mom. My mom is on the screen, Many of you have had a chance to meet her over the 51 years that you've known me. My mother has 3 different computers that she's on, so she is doing well, and she is smiling at me getting this award, and she's been at dozens of these awards also. My brother and sister, my uncle and aunts that are on the line, and other family members who have given me the inspiration to do the things that I have done and to make a positive impact as a lawyer, as a judge, and more importantly, as a person. That inspiration came from the members of my family. I want to thank all of my staff members over 51 years that have worked with me. You know, we have worked together as a team, and they continue to be teammates. Many of them today are still getting emails from me. Many of them today are still writing letters for me. And many of them are still reminding me of where I put something in the computer. So I have these teammates of 51 years. I also want to give a shout out to the Sam Carey Bar Association. The Sam Carey Bar Association gave me the first opportunity to be a leader. And I was a founder of the Sam Carey Bar Association. And I want to shout out because this is the 50-year anniversary of the Sam Carey Bar Association, which is the vanguard of all the affinity bars in Colorado. And so there are too many other people for me to thank personally. All of you know what you have done for me. Each of you have been a part of a friendship relationship. And as a part of those friends that are on the webinar, the class of 1967, the 150 people that walked into the law school together with me and saw me at the very beginning, saw me at the time that I had the fro out to here. And I want to thank them for the friendship and relationships that we've had. And lastly, I'm just going to hold up this award. This award I could not be more pleased with in terms of receiving. I feel like I'm a double buff in terms of having received this award and the Knous Award and the Norland Award. So I'm a triple buff. So the law school has been good to me. CU's been good to me. And as Sonny would say, CU has been good to the Jackson family and to the Flowers family. I really appreciate this award.
Thank you, Gary. And all those awards are very well deserved. So I'd now like to invite Hewitt back to present the Distinguished Achievement Awards.
Before we move on to our next award, I'd like to give a special recognition to our 20 Silver Slotzers. Thank you for your support this evening. With our first award, please join me in welcoming and learning more about Jacki Cooper Melmed, class of 2003. She's going to be awarded the Distinguished Achievement Award in the public sector. Here's a short video about Jacki.
You know, Jacki is one of those people that you meet and you know that no matter what job she's doing at a particular time, what she really cares about is the community and how she can help.
She could have been a great professor. She had an undergraduate and graduate training and instead chose to be a lawyer, I think because she really wanted to contribute. She always had this call towards public service. And we've seen that over the last several years. Her work as counsel to the governor has been at the highest level. It is such an honor and a joy to be able to work with her.
The idea of using my legal skills to serve the public at large, you know, not a single client. My client is the state of Colorado, and my mission is to do what is best for the people of the state of Colorado. You know, you can't say no to that kind of opportunity.
Sometimes legal advisors have a tendency to kind of operate off the cuff. That's not how Jacki works. She's very thoughtful. She's very meticulous. She wants to know the additional detail. She's not going to answer a question right away if she's not prepared. She's going to take that answer back and make sure that she gets back to you with the right answer.
She's always interested in collaborating, learning how she can do better, finding ways to bring people together to solve problems. That's a special skill set. And to have both the intellect she has as well as the humility, interest in working with other people is a great combination.
I don't see a big difference between my work and who I am, which includes my family, my community, you know, all of my commitments outside of work. It's important to me to be the same person wherever I am.
You probably know people who are just so thoroughly committed to public service that it's not like a separate motive. It is like part and parcel of who they are, and that's who Jacki Cooper Melmed is. So it's hard for me to say what is her motive, because it's almost impossible to separate that goal and that desire from the very essence of Jacki Cooper Melmed.
Our laws are who we are as a nation, and you know, the more we advance them, the more we improve them, the more we uphold the rule of law, the more we're doing for our country as a whole. I think it's something to be extremely proud of.
Jacki had a scheduling conference, but has sent us this message.
That I'm sorry that I can't be there in real time with everyone this evening. If everything has gone according to plan, I am out on the Yampa River with my family celebrating my son's graduation from college. It's about the only thing that would have kept me from being with everyone this evening. To my fellow honorees, congratulations. It is quite an honor to be recognized with this group. You are all inspiring. Your contributions have been too many to number. I wish you all a very hearty congratulations and hope you have a wonderful evening celebrating with your friends and family. I don't think of myself as the kind of person who wins awards. So this is particularly gratifying, and I really deeply appreciate it. And like so many others, I can hardly take credit for anything I've accomplished in my career so far. It's been the result of amazing colleagues, friends, and mentors. To name a few, there's my fellow CU alum, Justice Michael Bender, my first legal boss, who has become a very dear friend, my colleagues at Hogan and Hartson, now Hogan Lovells, my amazing Shoemaker, Gazzelli, and Schwartz family. I think of all of you often. The wonderful team that I worked with for the Hickenlooper administration, and of course my current colleagues, the Polis administration. All of you are so talented, so wonderful, so committed to the people of Colorado, to making our state a better place. It is such an honor and a thrill to work with all of you every day. And of course, I could never get anything done without the wonderful family that I have around me. My beautiful sons, Gabriel and Daniel, my incredible and supportive husband, Ari, my beautiful parents, Michelle and Ted Cooper, my very large tribe of in-laws, cousins, aunts, and uncles. They're a big part of who I am and what get me through every day. I feel that I have to at least acknowledge them here. And of course, the alumni from CU, thank you, thank you. I loved my years at CU. They continue to give. It's a wonderful group to be a part of. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening.
Thanks for those words, Jacki. Let's discover more about Dean Whiting Dimock, class of 1996, who is being awarded the Distinguished Achievement Award in Education. Please enjoy this video about Dean Dimock.
because I was a student at CU Law. She was my Dean of Students during that time, and I credit her largely as one of the people who helped me become the first openly trans student to graduate from CU Law.
She was one of the first people that I reached out to as I was trying to get my feet under me, making the transition from having been in the military for 10 years.
From the very first time that I met Whiting, I really was struck by how seriously she takes her role. She is really invested in the quality of the education for the students.
She's really dedicated to the individual in legal education, and how do we get this person's point of view from admissions to the courtroom.
My name's Whiting Dimock. I actually graduated from the law school almost 25 years ago. I found it all very intimidating and didn't know what I didn't know.
You know, as someone obviously who's been to law school herself and who practiced as a lawyer, she takes that experience and really uses it to try to ensure a good experience for all of the law students.
Perhaps the most gratifying part of my job is helping students navigate law school. Like, law school is intimidating. So many of the smart people who come to law school, their smart brains are also really skilled at criticizing them. Nobody sees them as critically as they see themselves.
What I really saw through my relationship with Whiting was that there was still a place to care about other people in your community. There was still a place to community build.
I really like when I can help a student feel that they are not alone.
She never makes you feel like you're taking up too much of her time, even when you know you are taking up too much of her time. I can't tell you how many times I had things just go wrong in my life. She was a person that I would go to because I just trusted her for support and I trusted her advice. And honestly, she just has a really great way of making you feel better about things.
The legal world needs people of every background, of every experience level, of every socioeconomic status, race, ethnicity, religion. We need all of those experiences to be able to serve and to understand the impact of the law. And one of the things that I see with Whiting over and over and over again is her ability to meet those folks where they're at, help them figure out how their contribution is going to be unique.
It's just incredible to get to be alongside them and see them develop their legal skills, develop their confidence, realize that they actually have a lot to offer. And so it's not only seeing them change their lives, but then their work changes other people's lives.
I don't know that you could really capture everything that she does for the community at CU in a few bullet points or a few job description items. I think she does what people need.
I can't be fancy. I can't be formal. I really would struggle to be anything other than genuine. I don't have any other way I can be.
Help me in welcome Whiting Dimock.
Thank you, Hewitt, for this award and for your leadership of the Alumni Board this year. It really has made a difference and will continue to. And thanks also to the members of the Alumni Board, to Amy Griffin and Jake Moore and others who supported me receiving this award. And thanks to Christine and Jordan, who've made me cry with their awards, or with their words rather. I really appreciate everyone who's on the Zoom call spending a beautiful summer evening on their computers. And I wouldn't be here without Deans Anaya, Weiser, and Getches. Appreciate everything I've learned from each of you. And I want to say thanks to my family, especially my parents and my kids who are both on Zoom tonight. Thank you. And my wonderful colleagues. Everyone has been through challenges this last year. I'm so glad all of you are here. We kept saying the goal of the pandemic was to survive the pandemic, and I'm so glad you all did. We all did. I often say every helpful thing I do is because I learned it from someone. The people I've learned the most from are the students, and many of them now alumni of Colorado Law. The students I've had the opportunity to spend time with, often when they're navigating challenging circumstances. One of the hundreds of lessons I've learned that's helped most recently is the reminder that none of us has to be perfect to be worthy. And I thought of that so many times in the last few weeks, especially. I'm going to close with thanking my partner, G, who's changed my life and who years ago, long before we started dating, told me something that I've reminded myself of and quoted to others many, many times, including probably to some of you, which is something he learned from a coach, which is that you'll be amazed what happens if you keep showing up day after day. And I thank you all for showing up for me and for each other. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Whiting. Let's watch Carolyn Fairless, class of 1998's video. She is receiving the Distinguished Achievement in Private Practice. Please roll her film.
As a colleague and a friend of Carolyn's since she was a young lawyer at Ott & Johnson, it's absolutely been my pleasure to work with her. It's just been a blessing for me to be able to call her my friend and colleague.
Carolyn will let you know that you're going to be okay. And no matter what the circumstances, no matter what you need, no matter when you need it, she is there for her clients and she'll let them know that they're going to be okay.
She just has always had this passion for representing particularly lawyers, but other types of clients. And that passion has turned into a lot of victories on behalf of Wheeler and Trickle Donald clients.
One of the things that I like the most about practicing law is that I get to really know my clients. I become close to clients. I become close with experts I work with, sometimes even opposing counsel. And I find that makes life so much more enjoyable when I can call up opposing counsel, and for the first 5 minutes of the call, we're just talking about what's going on in our lives. We're talking about each other's families.
She has a reputation amongst her clients for being available to them all the time.
She has the ability to be tough as nails, as firm as a trial lawyer needs to be in any situation, not back down. All of those qualities in a very, very gracious, kind, personable demeanor.
She's professional and courteous, and you'll find in our business, because there's so much conflict that we deal with, we're always adverse to another party and to other lawyers. I can't think of anyone more deserving of the award than Carolyn.
The law isn't. When you read cases in law school, it's to think of the cases as simply being this nameless, faceless person whose name is either on the plaintiff's side of the D or the defendant's side of the D. These are real people whose names are on contracts, whose names are on pleadings, and at the end of the day, what we're doing really matters to them.
Please join me in welcoming Carolyn Fairless.
Thank you to everyone here on this call. I want to congratulate all of my fellow award recipients. You're all so deserving, and I'm really happy for each and every one of you, and really happy to be here in your company. I also want to thank a number of people. First, the Colorado Women's Bar Association for nominating me in the first place to receive this award. I also want to thank the Law Alumni Nominating Committee and the Law Alumni Board for honoring me with it. I can't tell you how grateful I am to be sitting here tonight receiving it. Before I started law school at CU Law 26 years ago, it never occurred to me that I would be a lawyer. And now when people ask me what I would do if I wasn't practicing law, I actually don't have an answer because I can't imagine doing anything else. I feel really lucky to have had the career that I have had, and I'm going to forever be grateful to the University of Colorado for sending me on this path and giving me the foundation that I needed to have in order to be here. Credit for this award also belongs to a large number of people, a few of whom I want to thank specifically here tonight, who have supported me all along the way. Even if I didn't win this award, just seeing my nomination was one of the most touching things that has happened to me in my life. To see what people have said about me, people who are my biggest supporters, and to see how I've touched their lives has been more meaningful to me than any of you could know. I want to thank Mike O'Donnell. I want to thank Hugh Gottschalk, Amy DeVan, Aaron Tetman, Will Hoffman, Chris Montville, each of whom generously gave their time and lent kind words of support for me in order to get me here. Matt Plavnik and his team as well have always supported me, and I really want to thank them for everything they've done for me along the way. It's also really important to me to thank my team, to thank the people who have made it possible for me to have the career that I've had. I want to thank my colleagues and my partners at WTO, Wheeler Trigg O'Donnell, my colleagues in firm management. It's my second job, and I do think we need combat pay after the last year and a half in particular, but they make the job a lot more enjoyable than it otherwise would be. I also want to thank my legal malpractice defense team. I'm accused at the firm of being a notorious cherry picker when it comes to personnel. And if you knew the people I worked with, you would understand exactly why they say that about me. I've got the best team ever, and they make me look much better than I actually am. So thank you to everybody on my team, many of whom are here with me tonight. I also want to thank my family. My mom and my dad are here on this call, and they've done so much for me that I can never repay. My brother and my sister are here too, and I want to thank each of you for always supporting me, for always encouraging me, and for always knowing that I could be whoever I wanted to be. My brother in particular takes the credit for sending me to see you and for seeing that I could be a lawyer. And he's a big reason that I'm here today as well. I want to thank the Villanos for taking me in and making me part of their family as if I was one of their own. And finally, I want to thank Mike, without whom any of this would not be possible. He makes it possible for me to do my job. And I can't imagine a better partner. So thank you, Mike, for that. It's my honor again to receive this award. And again, thank you all very much for giving it to me. I'm deeply honored to be here.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. I'm so honored to recognize my classmate, Tyrone Glover, class of 2009, who's receiving the Distinguished Achievement Award for Small or Solo Practitioner. Please roll Tyrone's video.
Well, I remember meeting Tyrone because he is just one of those guys that when he's in a room, he commands it.
He had an absolutely stellar reputation in the criminal defense community as a defense attorney who really was extraordinarily skilled and extremely tenacious.
He's so involved in the community and so involved in so many places, and he takes every one of those commitments really seriously.
My name is Tyrone Glover. It became very apparent to me, I think, at a really early age, that having an understanding of the law, being a lawyer, being a judge, really would help you navigate all of the areas, in this country and around the Constitution to affect change, right, and to push towards justice and equality and equity for all people.
He's really built himself into just an incredible trial lawyer and somebody who, sort of does both things in terms of really involved in the community and is doing so much really important work doing civil rights and criminal defense work.
I took a detour after college into being a professional athlete for about 5 years, where I was a mixed martial artist. And one of the things that I really noticed in doing that for a living was a lot of the inequities between the fighters and sort of the workers and the promoters and the people that really, I think, had a lot of power, right? And then that little microcosm started to really help me see a lot of these other inequalities and all of these other systems.
He's got a very quick mind. He is very tuned into immediately recognizing issues that arise and dealing with them on the fly, which is the hallmark of a really good trial lawyer.
He's everything that you'd want to see. He's given back to the community in a number of ways, not just the Denver Bar Association, but back to CU. He deserves it because he's done everything.
I feel like my, fighting and sort of this underdog mentality and our little sort of small family unit, my time as a public defender, it all sort of centers me, to this strong sense of justice and making sure that, everyone, regardless of their means or resources, has a voice and has their day, right, and is entitled to justice and equity and equality.
Please join me in welcoming Tyrone Glover.
Well, thank you so much, Hewitt. I can still remember, going to CU Law School, took a little flight secretively from California so my job wouldn't know. And I remember meeting you and my other 09ers very early on. And it was, I don't know, the law school, my classmates, my professors, like Jason Mendelson, really embraced me. And it's just such an honor that my alma mater is continuing to embrace me years later. I never thought I was going to leave really where I grew up, but because of just all of the positivity and support that I got from the law school, I've made a home for myself here in Colorado and put my roots down and have my family. So thank you to the law school, the Law Alumni Board. Congratulations to all of the other distinguished honorees. I feel like I stand amongst some just really impressive individuals, and I'm so honored to be, these are folks that I've looked up to. Like, I remember Judge Jackson coming to the law school in my first introduction to the Sam Carey Bar Association and getting involved there. And ultimately, that was really, I think, my foray into leadership and community service. And that's the reason why I think now I can say I'm the Denver Bar Association president. And thanks to the DBA and CBA for helping me with what is oftentimes feels like the impossible task of juggling all of this. So I'm just really honored to be here. And thank you to my firm. I think that, receiving this award on the heels of coming out of a really intense summer of social justice, having done public defender work, civil rights work, and then really being able to step into it meaningfully. My firm, Kilmer Lane and Newman, and my great colleagues there have enabled me to stay on the front line of these issues that I really care about. I like to be, figuratively and literally in the ring, and working at Kilmer Lane and Newman has allowed me to continue down that path and be on the front lines of this fight. And I think last, I'd like to thank my family. I know my parents who are on here probably cringed every time they would watch one of my fights, but they kept in my ear about going back to law school. So I think it was after a pretty tough match in Japan that I pulled out that law school application and decided to look back into that. And it was really the best decision I ever made. And thank you to my wife, Kate Stimson, who is on this Zoom as well. We have 3 very young kids, and as you can see, I have lots of obligations between a busy practice and everything that I try to do in the community, and she is just so patient with it all, even when she has a very busy practice as well. So without the support and embrace of, all these great people that I've known over the years, I'm just, I think, so lucky and so fortunate to be here today, really doing what it is I love and what I feel like I'm meant to do. So again, thank you, and thank you to the other honorees. And what a great event. Thanks for everyone for coming out.
Thank you, Tyrone. Ryan Haygood, class of 2001, is celebrating his 20th reunion this fall. He's receiving the Distinguished Achievement Special Recognition for Outstanding Leadership in Civil Rights. Please roll Ryan's film.
My name is Ryan Haygood. I'm, I think of myself as a kid from Denver, Colorado. I was raised there by my mother. I was inspired to become a lawyer as a high school student. I had a teacher, and he showed us these black and white videos that chronicled the civil rights movement. The videos were called Eyes on the Prize. And so, it was in those videos that I learned about Thurgood Marshall, and I learned about the role of lawyers in the civil rights movement and the fight that they led for racial justice.
I have known Ryan for years. He is a trailblazer.
He is a tenacious advocate who truly works every single day to honor the dignity of all.
And it was in learning about Thurgood Marshall that I really developed a deep desire to want to work for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund.
Ryan Haygood was a lawyer at the organization I lead, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. He led our voting rights work for a number of years. He's just a brilliant young civil rights lawyer with a passionate heart for racial justice.
My mom was my biggest encourager. She encouraged me to think about how I might use my life for the greatest good. You know, Marian Wright Edelman talks about how service is the rent we pay for life on this earth. And I wanted to be of service. I wanted to dedicate my career to being of service.
I don't think he sees any lines between himself and the people he represents. So at the end of the day, his work is for his own humanity as it is for the humanity of every single person that he represents, because he really doesn't see lines between people.
All of us stand on a foundation, and that foundation is cracked by structural racism. We did not create that foundation, we inherited it. But we're also responsible for it, and we're responsible for doing work that fills in those cracks and helps to build a new foundation.
He knows that we must center communities that are too often marginalized, and he doesn't just say this, that's what his life is about.
You know, I'm always looking for certain things in young civil rights lawyers. The first and most important thing is their love of the people, their true commitment to the people that we serve. And Ryan has it in spades.
Ryan deserves this award because he has literally given his life and his career to the service of people in need, and most particularly Black people in need. There aren't a lot of people who do this work so thoroughly and so seamlessly in their lives, but he does it, and he does it with extraordinary ability, with grace, and with humor.
I sit in the seat as a lawyer mindful that it's a privilege to be here. I have enjoyed every day of the last 20 years as a lawyer. I feel like this is what I was made to do, that God created me to do the thing I'm doing, and I love it.
It's an honor to welcome Ryan to the stage.
Oh my goodness. It's my family, you all. I am I'm beyond grateful. Thank you, Trayvon. I'm beyond grateful to receive this award from Colorado Law School, where, as was mentioned, I graduated 20 years ago last month. And I'd like to congratulate the other honorees, including Judge Jackson, who wrote a letter of recommendation for my admission to Colorado Law. And I'd like to thank Betty Arkell for nominating me for this award, and the nominating committee and the board for selecting me for this honor. I'd also like to thank my mother, Onita Patterson, who joins us tonight. It was really her encouragement that inspired me to know that God makes everything, and I mean everything, possible, regardless of the circumstances. I'd like to thank my wife, Charity, who just came in to my office where I tried to steal away. I call her Sunshine affectionately, and I want to thank her for being the personification of that. Babyface has this song called Sunshine, where he says that his sunshine brightens up the corners of his mind, and that's what Charity does for me. I'd like to thank my Colorado law classmates and lifelong friends, Aaron Hyatt, who was my roommate for each of my years in law school, and Lisa Calderon and Joy Williams. So good to see Brad Bernthal and Andrea Wong join us. My amazing colleagues, past and current trustees here at the organization that I'm so blessed to lead, the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, my pastor, Philip Gilmore, and my church family at the Mighty St. John's Community Baptist Church, and family and friends who join us tonight. You know, as someone who didn't grow up knowing any lawyers at all, these past 20 years as an attorney have far exceeded anything I could have thought, hoped for, or imagined. And I praise God for these extraordinary opportunities. Watching that video was so humbling for me, because it's hard to believe that they're talking about me as one who, as a kid, I didn't know any lawyers. It wasn't until in high school that I I met a social studies teacher who told me that I could be one. And that was, for me, really revelation knowledge. I'd like to dedicate this award to Franklin Anderson. He was, in 1899, the first Black graduate of Colorado Law School. And I say to you with all sincerity, I can't imagine what Mr. Anderson endured, the hostility he confronted or the racism that he battled. In its early history, the city of Boulder, where the law school is located, was a stronghold of the KKK, with one of the largest Klan chapters in Boulder, right there, in Colorado, right there in Boulder. But I do know that I drew inspiration from Mr. Anderson's 1899 class photo every time I walked past it in the law school. And you see a picture of Mr. Anderson's 1899 class photo here. He's featured in the upper left-hand corner. And Mr. Anderson's class picture is revealing not only for its depiction of him as a history-making pioneer and an inspiration to generations of Black lawyers to come like me because of his, what I think of his sophistication and his determination and his grace embodied in this picture, but also because if you look closely, his classmate to his right is literally leaning away from him. And I used to look at that picture and wonder what it must have been like to be that gracious, that sophisticated in that moment, in your graduation photo where your classmate is leaning away from you. There's little information about Mr. Anderson after he graduated and took the bar exam in Denver, but 100 years after he graduated, when I came from Denver to Boulder to enter law school as the only Black male in my class, along with two Black women, extraordinary Black women, Lisa Calderon and Joy Williams, who join us tonight, I'd like to think that we were then and are now 20 years later, all of us walking in Mr. Anderson's footsteps. And so I say, thank you, Mr. Anderson. We keep your memory and your legacy alive. We thank you for your example of what's possible. And we thank you for inspiring us to use our legal degrees to fight for it. This award that I'm so humbled to receive is dedicated to you, Mr. Anderson, in your memory. And I thank you, Colorado Law School, for the special, special recognition. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. We are at the final award of the evening, the William Lee Knous Award. Please enjoy this background on the person behind the award.
My grandfather, William Lee Knous, was born in Ouray, Colorado in the late 1880s. He ended up being a graduate of the University of Colorado Law School in 1911. My grandfather really was a man for Colorado, as was noted in one of the Denver newspapers. He was a man for all seasons in that from a judicial standpoint, he served on the Colorado Supreme Court and was Chief Justice of the court. From a legislative standpoint, he was elected both to the State House of Representatives and the State Senate, and became President of the Senate, President Pro Tem. And in the executive branch, he became Governor of Colorado. We think probably the only person in the history of the United States to serve as the top office holder in all three branches of government. And in 1950, Harry Truman was President of the United States. And he offered the U.S. federal judgeship to my grandfather, and he had a tough decision to make. He was governor on one hand, very popular governor, but he loved the law on the other hand. So he did accept that appointment to the United States Federal Court, District Court, and stayed there until he died in 1959. Well, the award presented by the law school is the one the family cherishes the most. A lot of people asked him in his life, what did he prefer, the executive branch of being governor or the judicial branch and the law? And he, on balance, preferred the law. He was a true public servant.
Please help me welcome Dean and Aya back to the stage.
Thanks, Hewitt. It's now my pleasure to announce the recipient of the Knous Award, which is the highest honor Colorado law bestows upon a graduate. The award is given to an alumna or alumnus to recognize outstanding achievement and sustained service to Colorado law. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the Knous family, who I believe are with us this evening on this Zoom call. I'd like to thank them for their contribution and continued support for tonight's program. Bob Knous, who you just saw in the video, the grandson of William Lee Knous and his family, thank you for the honor of your presence this evening. This year, the Knous Award goes to Daniel Vigil of the class of 1982. Dan has had a tremendous career in the practice of law and contributing to legal education, including at Colorado Law. Please enjoy a brief video tribute to this year's Knous Award recipient.
You know, as Hispanos, Latinos, those of us that have been blessed with having the education and the license to practice, we inherit a mantle of responsibility to not only people of color, but other people that are aspiring to the noble profession of law. And Dan has accepted that. And he serves as a symbol, a person who has opened the doors for others through his work.
Dan is one of the most approachable people you'll ever meet. Very open. He likes people. He's very genuine.
When I think of a lawyer, I think of Dan. He is always thoughtful, competent, principled, professional. He can disagree without being the least bit disagreeable. He's what a lawyer should be.
My name is Daniel Vigil. I was born in Denver. There was something special about law school that was exciting, exhilarating, even breathtaking. One day you were just out in the world, and the next day you're in a building with a bunch of exceptionally brilliant people. It was an amazing experience. It was, I was walking among giants and I knew it. And at the end of a very, very long day of study, I'd say, well, I'm not a giant, but I grew today.
He's always had a very deep feeling about fairness and equity. He's one of the first people I met at the school that seemed to care so much about women and minorities being treated fairly, given a fair shake. He was always there for people in a quiet way, not in a self-aggrandizing way.
He, I think, embodies an ethical commitment to do what's right and to do well by others that surfaces in so many different ways.
He's been a practicing lawyer, law professor, administrator, very active with the bar associations, Hispanic bar associations. He's really worked many facets of our profession and done well in every single one of them.
But working with law students was extremely rewarding because if I had anything to do with their future success, that's a great reward. As an attorney, I help people too. And it was rewarding. I mean, even a small case worth a few $1,000s, it doesn't sound like much, but to the person who doesn't have any money, it means something.
If you look at his resume, there's a thread that goes through it of every position he's held, and it's ethics. He wants ethical lawyers that we can be proud of, that do the right thing. He wants it to be an admired profession, and he wants us to produce lawyers that the community and the school can be proud of.
My parents were always willing to help other people, and I think I developed that notion of service. And of course, being a professor, there are three obligations: scholarship, teaching, and public service. So I came by that naturally.
I don't think anybody represents the law school better than Dan does. He is a model of professionalism and competence and dedication and commitment to the best in the legal profession. Nobody could reflect better on CU Law School than does Dan.
So as we can see from the video, Daniel's a longtime devotion to serving the legal profession and legal education, along with his outstanding reputation in the Colorado legal community, to make him the most deserving of the Knous Award. Please, everybody, join me in congratulating Daniel B. Hill. I'd like to now invite Dan to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Dean. It's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank everyone who's participating this evening. I want to spend the first part of my speech thanking those who got me to the point where I am today. First, my loving, caring parents, my wife for her love, for her friendship, for her support, for my extended family, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my friends, the admissions committee of 1979 for admitting me to the law school and starting me on this wonderful path. I'd like to thank the law faculty for giving me such an excellent legal education. To a person, they were professional, they were dedicated, they were disciplined, and they were inspiring. I'd like to thank Betsy Livin for hiring me as an associate dean and mentoring me along. I'd like to thank Dean Jean Nickel for promoting me to an associate dean. I'd like to thank Jim Corbridge. I'd like Chancellor Jim Corbridge. I'd like to thank President Gee, and I'd like to thank President Albino for recognizing my work and for supporting me and for furthering my work. I'd like to recognize and thank Governor Romer for appointing me to the Colorado Lottery Commission. It was a very meaningful experience. I'd like to thank Ken Salazar for bringing me to the governor's attention. I'd like to thank Mary Ricketson and Jay Brown for inviting me to teach at the DU Law School, which I did for many, many years. To all my former students, I say, you enriched my life. Your success is my reward. And you've had a lot of success, so I've had a lot of reward. I'd like to thank Valvita Hal for nominating me for this award, and I'd like to thank the members of the Alumni Board for their vote of confidence in me. I'd like to thank John Asher, Mary Ricketson, and Lorenzo Trujillo for speaking on my behalf. Finally, I'd like to congratulate all the other award winners. I'd like to mention Charles Vigil. He was a 1935 graduate of CU Law School. He became U.S. attorney, was a very, very prominent and well-known lawyer in Colorado. He was part of my inspiration to go to law school. Of course, my parents inspired me too. With that, it is my great honor. I humbly accept the William Lee Knous Award. I'm honored. I'm grateful. I couldn't have written a better ending to my law school career, to my legal career. It's a perfect send-off. Thank you so much.
Thank you for those words, Dan. Thank you very much. You know, folks, tonight we commemorate Dean Anaya's last Alumni Awards celebration as Dean with a moment of gratitude for all that he has done for Colorado law over the last 5 years. Now you'll hear from members of the community.
Thank you, Jim, for giving me the opportunity to be part of your leadership team over the last 5 years. I've learned so much from you, and your commitment to your values, in particular, your commitment to diversity, to transparency, to equality, have really been inspiring.
Dean Anaya was one of the main reasons that I chose to come to Colorado law. I am from the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe out in South Dakota, and I think it is so important to have representation within the leadership of these higher institutions of learning. And so having the opportunity to attend a law school with an Indigenous dean was a rare opportunity, but one I really couldn't pass up.
From our point of view, Jim has also made our school much more international, attracted many Indigenous students, and generally brought great honor to the Colorado School of Law. Thank you, Jim.
Congratulations on a successful deanship over the last 5 years. It's been a pleasure working with you. You've been kind and warm and reliable and a steady hand on the rudder. Congratulations. It's really been an excellent deanship, and I wish you all the best in the future.
You have left your footprints in the sand of humanity for the law school, the legal community, and America. Through your unprecedented anti-racism and representation initiative that opens the national narrative of American identity to include inclusion, combating racism.
Thank you for serving as the Dean of Colorado Law for the last 5 years. On behalf of the Career Development Office, I'd like to thank you for your leadership throughout that period, and in particular over the last year, as you've led us in a really compassionate and steady way through the pandemic.
It's been such a privilege and an honor to get to work close with you and learn from you for these past 5 years. I saw up close just how hard you worked for Colorado law at all times, even times that were very difficult for you personally and in the world, and I thank you for that.
I am so thankful for Dean Anaya and everything he's done for BIPOC communities and especially students at CU. He's really facilitated a safe space for us, and I'm so thankful. Although I'm sad his deanship is coming to a close, I am so excited to have him as a professor, take a class with him, and really just get to know more about his scholarship and more of the great deeds that he's done for communities in Colorado.
I especially wanted to thank you for giving me so many opportunities to do work that I know we both value and that I hope will have a continuing imprint on CU Law School.
Please know that I've really enjoyed working with you these past 3 years. I signed on for only one, but your sense of decency, fairness, and commitment to doing the right thing persuaded me to stay on for 2 more.
As a scholar, you've sought to understand the world, but more so as a lawyer, you've made a concerted effort to change it, and you have undoubtedly changed it for the better. You're the type of academic that we should all aspire to be.
Please join me in welcoming Dean Anaya to say a few words.
That wasn't on my script. Wow, I'm not really sure what to say in response to all of that, but I'm really touched. When I started law school quite a few years ago, I never thought that one day I'd be the dean of a first-rate law school like Colorado Law. And thinking about that, I can't help but reflect that within my own extended family, there are, my parents, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles. There, within that extended family, there are really no parameters to understand what being a law school dean means. And I've had to explain that I'm something like a school principal, and that I'm the one with the big office. I'm fortunate to have loved ones that are intent on keeping me humble. But being dean of the University of Colorado Law School has really brought me enormous pride. As many of you know, I've struggled at times with the challenges of being dean, but I'm really ever so grateful for the rewards I've gained in the position. And the biggest rewards have been in getting to know and working with many of you are wonderful alumni, interacting with our wonderful students, and working with our talented faculty and staff to try to move the law school forward and do important things. I want to thank all of you for the confidence that you placed in me to serve as your dean, and the support you've given me. And there are many who have helped me in very specific ways that have been crucial to whatever success I've had. And you each have my deepest gratitude. I'm really touched by the expressions of thanks from each of you on the video. Each one of you has really meant a lot to me over the last several years, and has contributed so much, not just to the work we've done together, but to my life. I've always felt that each one of us is in large part a product of those who touch us and are part of our lives, and I feel that about those of you that I've worked with over the last several years. You're part of who I am now. And I also want to thank my wife Jana for agreeing to move to Colorado and embark on this adventure with me, and for being there every day to back me up and help me keep going. I'm fortunate to have had a lot of great opportunities in my career. But I never really sat down and planned out the specific path of my career or my next steps. I honestly, in fact, don't think I'd be here tonight if I had done that. What I try to do is be open to opportunity and to life's serendipity. And I'm happy that serendipity brought me to Colorado Law, and I genuinely look forward to the opportunity I have now to continue as a member of the faculty. Again, I'm ever so grateful for your support. Thank you. So back to my script. I think my next task is to welcome back Dave to the virtual stage for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Dean Anaya, and thank you for everything you've done for the law school and the profession over the past 5 years. Before we end the evening, we'd like to recognize our bronze and friends sponsors and announce 3 more lucky door prize winners. Our final 3 door prizes are sponsored by Hogan Lovells, Pocinelli, and Wheeler Trigg. Those 3 door prizes go to Stephen Fader, class of 2023, Gabriel Robbie, class of 2017, and Caitlin Butler, friend of the law school. Congratulations. Our 6 door prize winners will receive an email regarding their door prize. Thank you again to our generous gold sponsors. This concludes the formal portion of the 40th Annual Law Alumni Awards celebration. Thank you all for coming.